Hi there, everyone. My name is Alex Coniers, and welcome to Alex's Effects Tutorials. Today, we are covering the bare basics, as well as some basic effects. The hope of this video is to introduce you to some of the wide variety of options you will have in post-production if you use After Effects. Anyway, let's get right into it. When you open After Effects, you'll notice this front page. This is where your projects will be displayed. Select Create New. This brings us to the timeline. There's a lot to see here, but all of that is for another time. In After Effects, there aren't events. There's compositions. You never want to edit large quantities of footage in After Effects. It's more for smaller clips which you will add effects to. Guess what you click to create a new composition. Don't worry about this page because you'll likely not need to do much with it if you're watching this tutorial. Now for the fun part. To add footage, simply drag to this box right here. If you want it immediately to be placed on the timeline, this is what you do. You might notice that it's not the full size of the screen. Now before you grab the corners and go, wow! Keep in mind that will not scale it appropriately. Grab a corner, press the Shift key, and they will make it a scaled transformation. Speaking of which, if you select this helpful little drop-down arrow and select Transformation, there's a lot of options. This is where you can adjust size, opacity, position, and many things like that. And this is where you can add keyframes to all of them. To add keyframes, simply click this little diamond, go further in the timeline, and make the appropriate adjustment. The keyframe will add by itself. What I'd like to do is make the footage shrink. So I'm going to set up the keyframes. All right, let's make it play.
Sweet baby Jesus.
That is slow. Something to know about After Effects is that it puts a lot of strain on your computer. If you notice this little bar on the bottom, it says full. This refers to the playback resolution. This doesn't affect the overall resolution of the product, but it allows you to drop it and edit more efficiently. So I'm dropping it to 1/3 resolution. Now let's play back. That's much better. Now we'll move to the basics of the timeline. This little bar is called a layer. To rename the layer, simply right-click. I highly suggest that you specifically name layers, because trust me when I say things get crazier. Even the simplest of effects can require 5 to 7 layers. Now, I want to create a scene where a piece of footage flies over another. I already have the keyframes ready for this clip, so I'll just drag my clip on it and play it. Wait, nothing's happening, you might say inquisitively. Well, don't worry, bright-eyed viewer. That's because your layer is above the one with the keyframes. So we see that one first. Simply drag it to the bottom. There we go. Some fun little features about layers. This is how you make a layer disappear to see all other layers. This is how you isolate a layer so that you only see it. These will be helpful to know when I get to rotobrushing in a separate tutorial. Now you may be saying, but it's After Effects. I want to do effects. Well, buckle your booster seat because that's what I'm covering right now. Simply go to the effects bar. Oh, I can't find it. That's because of the workspace I'm set up in. Again, that's for another time, but for simplicity's sake, you want to be on the default workspace. Now, go to the effects bar. There are literally billions of effects you can toy around with. To do so, find one and drag it onto your layer you want to put the effect on. You can adjust the effect here and here. In After Effects, there's something called Render Queue, which is very similar to a shopping cart. You can add multiple compositions to it and then render them all at once. But right now we only have one composition. To add a composition to the render queue, simply press Add to Render Queue. This is what the render queue will look like. To edit where your export will go, select this button. You can select Render right here, where it says Render, because that's how you do it. All right, before I go, a handy dandy little trick that will help you on the SRT show. Check this out. Here I have 2 layers. Select the text tool and add some text. Select the font you like, as well as the size. Play around with it. Make sure that the setting is on fill over stroke. I struggled with this many times, you have no idea. Now, you see this little button called Track Matte? What you have to do is simply click and select Alpha. Check that out. That's pretty neat. To adjust the footage in the text, simply click the layer that is your matte and just move it around and adjust it as you would. That's all for this tutorial. Thank you for watching.